Alright, it's time for the cheeky WWE Raw review, and yes, we had some strong thoughts about Raw continuing to run and WWE overall doing live shows in the face of the pandemic, but that doesn't mean we're not going to cover this shit and entertain the living bejesus out of you crazy Wrestle Pluggers. So thank you for joining me. I am, of course, Aaron Nix. Don't forget, please like the video, comment below, and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications on future content and videos from the Wrestle Plug. We got a lot more coming, a lot more interviews, and this is the place to be if you want real wrestling thoughts from a real wrestling podcast, which is as candid as it gets. So Raw tonight, Money in the Bank special, 3 women's qualifiers, fantastic stuff. Always love a bit of women's wrestling, which is why we're going to start here. Oh man, Asuka versus Ruby Riott. I don't know how many times I have to say this before you all start paying attention to me. Asuka is the best women's worker in the world, and I thoroughly believe that she's one of the best workers, full stop, never mind gender. She goes out at Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott is a bit of an afterthought. She hasn't done anything since she's come back, really, let's be honest, other than beat up Liv Morgan and then get utterly wrecked in the Elimination Chamber. Now, I like Ruby Riott, but she's very much a mid to low carder when it comes to the women's division. Asuka, every single week, she entertains, she works her ass off, and she has one of, if not the best match every single week on the card. It is utterly phenomenal. For me, the makings of a world-class wrestler is not just about being a great promo or being able to entertain a certain way. You know, like some people say, oh, look at John Cena, it's the work rate and things like that. For me, one of the biggest and most crucial things about being one of the best ever in this business is how much do you elevate everybody you work with. And once again, Asuka goes out there with somebody who's a little less limited than her, it has to be said, you know, in many ways. And she goes out there and has a killer match with Ruby Riott. Steals the show. It's right from the get-go. It's just awesome. Honestly, I'm running out of superlatives to explain just how good Asuka is, man. And of course, she gets the win and moves on to the Money in the Bank show, whenever that may be, because there is strong rumours, strong suggestions and reports that Money in the Bank is cancelled for now. So I'm very curious as to when that actually will be, because we were told it was going to be mid-May. Not entirely sure whether that's true going forward. By the way, speaking of great workers, can we just talk for a minute about how aroused I was watching Oney Lorcan and Aleister Black smack 10 bells of shit out of each other? That is the kind of content that people want to see. Not this hokey bullshit, you know, overly produced sports entertainment style of wrestling. And I don't mean the whole show. I mean, you know what I mean. There's just certain matches where you think, Jesus Christ, you're not even watching a wrestling match. Now, this was fucking money. This is just 2 lads going out there kicking the shit out of each other who want to win. And sometimes you don't need these convoluted storylines or these ridiculously over-the-top gimmicks and these hokey effects. Sometimes you just need 2 lads who are very, very good at what they do. Oney Lorcan and Aleister Black, 2 of the best strikers in wrestling. Oney Lorcan is so underappreciated and so underrated. Like, Aleister Black's getting a push. You know, he barely lost on Raw in, 9 months? He's getting pay-per-view matches. He even worked WrestleMania. Oney Lorcan, on the other hand, is just kind of sitting there, not really doing much, making the odd appearance. You know, he's the guy of 205 Live, and it's such a shame because he's such a good worker. Guys like him, they're the lifeblood of what you do. They're the guys who are going to form the spine. They're the engine room. Sure, is he a big star? Probably not. Even I can admit that, as big a fan I am of the Star Destroyer myself. But at the same time, I also appreciate that guys like Oney Lorcan are so needed in a promotion. You know, Oney Lorcan's the kind of guy who will go out there every night and have a match of the night contender and nobody will notice. But it's because of that kind of quality that he props up the rest of the card. Oney Lorcan, for me, is very much like what Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho, Perry Saturn, Eddie Guerrero were in WCW. Now, obviously, they made a further jump, a lot of those guys. I don't see Oney Lorcan making that kind of jump. I have no doubt that if he went to somewhere like AEW, they'd be able to put him in a more prominent position because he'd have an entirely different audience and environment. It's not me saying, oh, AEW should steal talent. Not interested in that. Don't care about your stupid little fucking Wednesday Night Wars. Ultimately, there are 2 products that are great. Just get over yourselves. But for me, I watch Oney Lorcan and I think you're a workhorse. You know, Oney Lorcan, Danny Bryan, Drew Gulak, Aleister Black even to a certain extent before he gets an even bigger push. The Revival were like this as well when they were at a company. These are the guys who, okay, so they're not making the marquee money, but they're in the middle of the card. They're the guys in the spine. They're the guys providing the entertainment. They're the guys who prop it up. Just like in WCW when you had Kevin Nash and Randy Savage and all the big guys, and let's be honest, most of them were either crap or way past their prime or just big stars with not really good work rate. But luckily, you had the engine room behind you. The gears that worked the face of the clock. And the face of the clock might have been things like Hulk Hogan, might have been things like Kevin Nash, Randy Savage, Lex Luger, even Sting to a certain extent, although Sting was always an amazing worker. But behind that clock face, there was the working mechanism. And in that working mechanism, you had hard workers, gears that could just keep on ticking over, keep on grinding, and only Lorcan is that kind of guy. And that's why it was lovely to see him appearing on Raw. Okay, he's probably not going to get a push, but hey, being on Raw is cool, especially when you're in his position. You've spent most of your time scrubbing around in 205 Live, which, by the way, is a very good product. And people should check that out because it's on the network and they can watch it whenever they damn well please. So, hey, stop moaning at us. Oh, there's not enough good wrestling on. There's loads of good wrestling. You've just got to be fucking less lazy. Go out there and look for it because it's on the network and it's across a social media plethora of platforms. Now then, it's time for me to upset you lot because Becky Lynch cut a promo and once again it was heaving in loopholes and she sounded like a leprechaun again. And before people attack me, I have a lot of Irish family. This is not good. Like, her Irish accent is just, oh, I'm the champ. It's so over the top and ridiculous. It's all crackly and oh god, you almost feel like she's going to come bursting out in her original gimmick with the green on again and start dancing. Fuck's sake, like, just becoming a stereotype of herself now, like a walking meme, a bit like Randy Orton. Like, he was amazing at one point, just like Becky Lynch. She's absolutely amazing at what she does, but just becoming almost the gif, the social media representation of yourself, and it is just so fake. And, you know, it's disingenuous and it doesn't feel organic at all. And she comes out here and says, like, oh, you know, I was playing mind games from day one and making you think that I was, you know, nobody and everything like that. I was like, what? Right, okay, so you laid down and allowed her to bite you, did you? And all these things. It's like, no, like, that's not the case. If you'd allowed her to think that you were weak, you wouldn't have attacked her with a steel chair, would you? Like, that doesn't make sense. Byron Saxton saying, you know, because she called out the Money in the Bank winner, whoever that may be in the future, and Byron Saxton's like, oh, that's a really smart play. You know, she's calling out. I was like, well, okay, admittedly, the Money in the Bank winner could go after, well, theoretically now, 3 different champions. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if the Money in the Bank winner went after Charlotte Flair, actually, because they seem to be very keen on hyping up the NXT Women's Championship, which is fine because it's a fucking awesome title, but she should be fucking saying that. What would she say as a face? Oh, no, I don't really fancy it. Could you challenge one of the other champions, please? To be honest, that would probably be more realistic based on what she was saying. Oh, maybe you guys think I'm a little bit weaker than I actually am. Oh, maybe you guys have underestimated me. You've been the champion for over a year. And then she ends the promo with, oh, maybe I might just defy the odds again. What are you talking about? You've been champion for a year. You've literally beaten everyone, including Shayna Baszler, who, to be honest, was the only person left who could possibly dethrone you in this position. So that was a dumb booking decision at the same time. And don't get me wrong, I love Becky Lynch to pieces, but for fuck's sake, she's damn near invincible, and she's coming out here telling us, oh yeah, I'm just like you guys, and oh, I overcome the odds. In what way do you overcome the odds? You main evented WrestleMania last year. You won both championships. You held on to them for God knows how long. The Raw Championship you've held on to for over a year now. Yeah. At what point are we supposed to believe that you are one of us? That's what I mean by it being disingenuous. And I hated the promo. And frankly, I hated the content of it. She delivered it fine, but the content was just stupid. Stupid. There's so many loopholes in it. And it irritates you. Luckily, the other women delivered the content the way you would like, or at least the way I would like. And Shayna Baszler, Sarah Logan, I tweeted out immediately on the Wrestle Plug account. So, coming up later on tonight, Sarah Logan gets murdered, and that's exactly what happened. Shayna Baszler comes out, kicks the shit out of her for about all of 20 seconds, stamps on her arm, and pretty much breaks it, or at least makes it look like it's been broken. Really good selling. I thought Sarah Logan was actually kind of adorable and sweet. Am I the only person who was like, oh, she was kind of like crying a bit, and I was like, oh, that's really sad. which is a good job, means that Shayna Baszler did her point. By the way, the interviewer, I don't know who this blonde woman is, got nothing against her personally, but she is just dreadful as the backstage announcer. Like, I actually quite like Charlie Caruso. I liked Dasha Fuentes when she was there. I think Renee Young was excellent. I think they've had a really good track record of hiring excellent, highly professional, highly adept women to work for their company. But this woman just seems so static. And she's just like, she comes over to Shayna uber aggressively, and she's just like, oh, what do you think about Ronda Rousey's comments? Right in her face. And Shayna just looks as if to say, if you come near me again, I will fucking break you. Which, first of all, is amazing, because Shayna Baszler is just fucking awesome. Her facial expressions alone are worth $1 million. Like, I love it when people are like, oh, Shayna Baszler is boring. In what sense is she boring? You must genuinely be fucking stupid if you think Shayna Baszler, A, can't wrestle, or B, is boring. If you think either of those two things, you literally know fuck all. If you don't like her, that's one thing. But to say outright that she hasn't got any talent, or that she can't work, or she doesn't know wrestling when she is a master of catch-as-can wrestling, that makes you look fucking stupid. Also, the Ronda Rousey thing, by the way, clearly a fucking work at this point. So, Marks, get back in your basements with your Cheetos and shut the fuck up and let the adults enjoy what they're watching. And let the kids enjoy what they're watching as well, because the kids ultimately aren't spending too much time in their parents' basements either. They're, still understanding of what they're watching. I love this. People going on Twitter going, oh, Ronda Rousey's fucking disrespecting. You're getting worked, Marks. You're getting worked. Deal with it. And also, Ronda Rousey could literally destroy all of your favourite heroes and stretch them out like little bitches at any point. I'm under no illusions of that. By the way, give me more Asuka versus these two women, Shayna and Ronda. It's just money. It's ready-made. It really is. I cannot wait for the 4 horsewomen to start trashing the roster and doing what they want to do. It's going to be exciting, exciting times. Women's division killed it. Love Shayna Baszler's match. Thought that was excellent. And of course, moving on, plenty more to get our teeth into when it comes to WWE Raw. Can we just say, Austin Theory, by the way, everyone's wetting their pants over this boy, aren't they? Now, Zelina Vega's in his corner. Austin Theory will have an opportunity at Aleister Black next week. Should be a fantastic match. We obviously saw Aleister Black earlier in the night, had that great matchup, phenomenal matchup for me of only Lorcan. I actually thought that was better than the Apollo Crews match, because it didn't need 40 minutes to get its point across. Filled with content, filled with great striking, felt like two men legitimately trying to fight each other. Akira Tozawa getting more use again, another one of those guys, like I was talking about the engine room, coming out here and, well, basically getting the shite kicked out of him by Austin Theory, as you would expect. Austin Theory, I'm amazed at how quickly, they've taken to him. I don't know if Vince has seen him and gone, oh yeah, he could be my son. He feels like he's being built in the same way that Sammy Guevara is being built in AEW. This kind of really young, hotshot, exciting talent, fresh out of the box, great look, good looking guy. He's just got everything going for him, hasn't he, Austin Theory? But even I'm a little surprised at the rise. He came in from Evolve. He only officially signed a few months ago. Here he is already, had a WrestleMania match. He's aligned with Zelina Vega, which is fucking awesome, by the way, because she is by far and away the best valet in WWE. People can say Paul Heyman as a manager, business associate, whatever you want, but ultimately, Zelina Vega is there every week, giving us great facial expressions, giving us great acting, giving us great talent, working her persona so beautifully. One of the most talented women on the roster, and I think a lot of people don't actually realise it. Zelina Vega is so good at her job, and here she is helping get Austin Theory over. Really making Austin Theory look like a great talent. I cannot express how much I love Zelina Vega. She's taken Andrade, she's taken Angel Garza, and now Austin Theory. All three of those guys immediately look like elevated and more credible talents because they have her voice and her acting and her backing as a valet and manager. She has a track record of making talents look better, not just from a kayfabe standpoint, but from shoot perspective. Look at how good she is. Look at how she reacts to everything during matches, for instance. And not only that, she's also a very good worker, as we saw against Bianca Belair. She's a very good wrestler, so competent. This woman is an extremely brilliant all-round talent. That's what I love so much about Zelina Vega. It's not a case of, oh, I just look pretty and interfere. No, she gives so much to it. There's so much grandeur to the way that she presents herself, the way that she dresses, the way that she walks, the way that her facial expressions will change during a match. If her client is in trouble or getting beaten up, she will all of a sudden become very distressed. The look of horror on her face whenever one of her clients loses, it's all brilliantly done. She, for me, is the female Paul Heyman in terms of work rate and facials and things like that. You know, not physically, obviously, there's absolutely no comparison. It's like you can ask for more polar opposites in any term or fashion, but I just think Zelina Vega is an incredible asset to this company. I hope she's getting paid and compensated well for what she does, because for me, she brings 3 times the amount of coverage to the wrestlers and what they do as a brand, as opposed to other people on there. There are so many guys on that roster, so many women on that roster who are good, but they don't even offer a third of what she offers, because not only can she work, she can do all of the things that I've mentioned above. And Austin Theory is once again proof in that pudding. We are seeing Austin Theory regular. People are talking about Austin Theory on social media, and the reason for that is because of all the hard work that Zelina Vega is putting in to make sure that he looks just as good as her other clients that have been given to her that she's working with on the storylines. And ultimately, Austin Theory gets a win. Of course he's going to get a win because he's facing a scrub. Sorry, but he is. This was really one of the cool themes of the show. So Theory, Garza, and Andrade is this kind of 3-man wrecking crew under the guise and administration of Zelina Vega. Angel Garza, by the way, is so good. I need to speak about how good this guy is. I've been preaching about it every week, and hopefully people are going to start listening and paying attention even more. Love the Lothario gimmick. I love the way that he believes in it. He's got the rose between his teeth. I know that people just can't have a bit of fun. So we had a little bit of a joke on social media about him, social distancing, because he went up to the beautiful camera lady, the woman behind the camera, and gave her a kiss and gave her the rose. And yes, we're aware that it's his fiance. We were having a laugh about social distancing. Fucking lighten up. Jesus Christ. People are, honestly, wrestling nerds, yeah? Is that the hill you want to die on? Actually, I think you'll find out that's her fiance. Shut the fuck up, seriously. People like you make the internet even less fun than it already is. But let's talk about the match. Great fucking match against Tahuti? Who cares? He's a jobber. He's there to job. We'll worry about you when you become a star later down the line, son. But yeah, one of the lads from NXT, from the Developmental Center, of course, the Performance Center. Good match, actually. Very physical. Love that mid-air dropkick. Who didn't? Brilliant stuff. And also very physical. Love the fact that he, as well as Drew, who obviously opened the show, with his promo. Love the fact he said to the camera, get your ass up here. Get up here. Force the cameraman up. And cut that little cheeky promo, in Latin, in Mexican. Brilliant stuff. Love that. Or in Spanish, should I say, before people get far too edgy. The nerds will be after us again. It was great. It was really cool. I love the match. I love the trio as well. Once again, another beatdown. I love the fact Zelina Vega's just kind of standing there. And this has got a real elevated and evolved LWO feel about it. Now, the Latin World Order, the Latino World Order, should have done really good business in WCW, and it probably would have if it wasn't for the sake of, for the case of idiots like Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff basically ruining it. Now, I like Eric Bischoff, but come on, man. Come on. No, absolutely not. And Russo, well, less said about that, the better. But the reality is that it just didn't work for multiple reasons. Now it has the opportunity to here, and Latins, whether you like it or not, Donald, make up a very large and sizable proportion of the population of the United States, and also they have a vested interest. There's a reason why Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero and so many other guys were so popular. It wasn't just because they were world-class workers, it was also because of their Latin heritage. Mexican wrestling heritage is very strong as well, and people in Mexico and beyond, they pay attention to this stuff, and they love the fact that their demographic is represented. And my God, Latin wrestling is on fire right now. When you look across all the companies, all the different guys who are working out, from Daga to Aerostar, all these great AAA wrestlers. You've got Sammy Guevara, you've got the Lucha Brothers, you've got Proud and Powerful representing Puerto Rico and beyond. Honestly, the Dominicans out there too. Latin wrestling is on fire. And this is a fantastic little faction they got going, and each one of them offers something special. Now, a lot of people are saying Humberto Carrillo should be in instead of Austin Theory, but I get why he's not, because he has the emotional range of a laser printer, and that's just simply not good enough if you're going to have a Latino. Being Latino is all about machismo, it's about character, it's about flamboyance, eccentricity. He's not really any of those things, is he, Carrillo? He's a great worker, but you can't just throw him in there just because he's Latin. Now, Austin Theory, okay, I get it, he's from Georgia, he's not technically Latin, but he could just be like, it could be in there in the same way that Owen Hart was in the Nation of Domination, or even The Rock, because The Rock came out and said, this isn't about race, this is about something else, this is about power, this is about representation. Just because he's in the Latino world order, people, I guarantee immediately, if they did something like this, nerds are going to be like, well, Austin Theory's not from Mexico. Shut the fuck up, it doesn't have to be. It's not about that. It's about what it represents, as opposed to sheerly a national identity thing. And that's basically one of the biggest fucking problems that America has, really, is that they're so consumed with the idea of national identity they can't see the forest for the trees. Nia Jax ran over Kairi Sane. Not for me, thanks. Not for me. There's not really much to report on that. You knew it was going to happen as soon as I saw these Money in the Bank matches lined up. Oh god, Kairi Sane's going to get the short end of the stick here. Shayna Baszler moves on. Great. Despite Mike Rome getting it wrong. Wah wah. Thought that was quite funny, actually. And of course, Asuka moves on. He thought, Kairi Sane would be perfect, but they're pushing Nia Jax. The problem is, now, I love Nia Jax for anyone gets someone back. Really enjoy her stuff. Really enjoy her in-ring style, actually. And love her shoot-level promo Twitter. I think it's really funny. But I don't care about her running over the roster. I've seen this before. And the problem as well is that people have run her over. People like Ronda Rousey and stuff like that. So she's been proven to be far more fallible and far more, breakable than they would have you believe. This feels like revisionist history. Oh, you haven't seen Nia Jax for a year or however long it's been. It does seem like God knows how long since she's been on the roster. Probably, I think it's well over a year, but that doesn't mean that we don't remember her losing to people. We don't remember her having higher competitive matches with people. So to see her just completely squash someone like Kairi Sane, just toss her aside like that, I get what they're trying to do. It just feels very boring to me. And just the case of, she's a big woman, therefore she's going to run people over. I think WWE has, by far and away, the best women's division in the world. I don't think it's even close, to be honest. I think Impact's got quite a good one. I think AEW's got a great women's division, but they don't have a fucking clue how to book anyone on that roster. So ultimately, that's one of the worst. But the one thing I will say for AEW is they got Nyla Rose. And the way that Nyla Rose is presented is, for me, a massive upgrade to what Nia Jax is. I feel like Nia Jax should be aiming to be more like Nyla Rose. Yeah, you can be a destroyer. Yeah, you can be violent. Yeah, you can be aggressive. But ultimately, you also need to be semi-fallible, if you understand what I mean. You have to have some sort of weakness or some sort of loophole. You have to give people a little bit of offense, a little bit of hope. If you just walk out there and squash people like that, it is what it is. Now, I don't mind squash matches, and I get why they're there. My problem is more so the fact that she squashed someone like Kairi Sane to get into Money in the Bank. No, we should have her run over some other people, some smaller NXT talents, whatever. Then when it comes to Kairi Sane, who's one of the better workers you have in the entire women's division, just make it that little bit more competitive, and I would have been alright. Not for me, not my cup of tea. I would rather see a huge destroyer who, when it comes down to it, has great competitive matches, with a little bit more of the lion's share of offense when it comes to wrestling people like Kairi Sane, and then squash the scrubs. That's what the scrubs are for. That's why they're called jobbers, for fuck's sake, because they're there to job out and make you look good. But I feel bad for Kairi Sane a little bit, and it feels like, don't get me wrong, Asuka is incredible, and for me the best worker in all of women's wrestling, and she deserves to get all the success she can, but I feel like poor Kairi Sane is being left at the wayside a little bit, and that's a shame, really. That is a shame, but alas, Nia Jax moving on. She joined Shayna Baszler and Asuka in the Women's Money in the Bank match, which, by the way, is shaping up to be saucy as fuck. I'll tell you what, I already think this match looks far better than the men's. I know people are freaking out because we've got the opportunity to see, the possibility of guys like Aleister Black and Cesaro, etc., but come on, the star power already in this match looks like it could be really special, and there's a lot more to come, and hopefully maybe someone like an Io Shirai or Rhea Ripley is going to find themselves in their Bianca Belair as well. This could really be the most stacked women's Money in the Bank ladder match yet. And by the way, if you're looking for opinions on Bobby Lashley versus No Way Jose, fuck off. Nobody cares. What a terrible storyline. Isn't it funny how that storyline has gone from, gold to nothing in such a rapid amount of time? Tragic. Unfortunately, wrestling fans only have so much attention when it comes to a storyline like that, and this has definitely run out of steam, particularly when there's no Rusev around. So somebody wake me up when Rusev arrives. Nice to see the War Raiders as well. Tag team wrestling was certainly not on the agenda for this Raw, but ultimately there's only one thing I really want to talk about, and that's the idea of Andrade versus Drew McIntyre. This is a pay-per-view level main event, and you got it on Raw. Can't really argue much more than that, can you? This is the kind of thing I would have liked to have seen him actually build to. Maybe have that as the main event of Money in the Bank, Andrade versus Drew McIntyre. That would have been absolutely sick. The idea of Zelina Vega and her new charges, her new supergroup, trying to dethrone the Scottish Leviathan that was Drew McIntyre, but alas, we've got it this week, and there's no question how long this might go on for in terms of storylines, and I'm all for it. This is an exciting premise, and all the elements that are in place look fantastic. My only critique, really, is the fact that it just didn't go that long, so I'm hoping we get more of it down the line. But that's probably not going to be the case, because one thing you might notice that was running concurrent during this episode of Raw was these really strange little vignettes with Seth Rollins looking quite hazy and all over the place. And Raw goes off the air after Drew has a fantastic but short match with Andrade, with Seth Rollins attacking him and hitting him with a curb stomp twice. Now, I don't mind Seth Rollins being a contender and the next contender for the WWE title, especially if he's not going to win, because God forbid he actually beats Drew McIntyre. I just think that would be a terrible decision. But I don't understand the premise. How can you say to me that, Seth Rollins is the next contender in line? Well, why? First of all, we've seen it so many times, not necessarily against Drew, although he has wrestled Drew quite a few times as well, particularly when he was a face. But he lost, fairly convincingly, technically twice at WrestleMania to Kevin Owens, and his reward for that is to then be considered the next in line for the WWE title. From a storyline aspect, that seems not only lazy, but a little bit stupid. And I'm not a fan of it. I'm not going to go all in and go crazy about it, because Rollins versus McIntyre is going to be an excellent match. Rollins is an excellent worker, and I don't enjoy the Messiah gimmick. I think it's really boring, but I must admit it is getting better, and it's, we're kind of almost turning a corner with Rollins now. I think the stuff with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania really helped, because wasn't a fan of their rivalry, but that match was fantastic. But yeah, Seth Rollins, not sure I think that's a good choice for the next opponent, but maybe you guys have a difference of opinion, and there's nothing wrong with a difference of opinion. So please, by all means, leave in the comments below who you think should be the next contender for Drew McIntyre. Do you want to see more of Andrade? Are you really excited about the idea of him wrestling Seth Rollins? Ultimately, your opinions matter just as much as mine. They matter just as much because Wrestle Plug is hashtag for the fans. It always has been. We love the interaction. So if you've got anything to say about this Raw, anything to say about this Raw review, leave it in the comments below. But make sure that you like this video if you did enjoy it. Make sure that you leave comments like I've said, but also subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you can get notifications for all of our content going forward. But from myself, Aaron Nix, this has been the Raw review, and we'll catch you very soon for more nonsense from the Wrestle Plug.